Hello dear friends, welcome to IAS Gnana, a new initiative of Gnana Gangotri which is aimed at providing quality education to the UPSC as well as the other state PCS exam aspirants. We are launching a new initiative known as Ashwamedha sequence or the Ashwamedha series. We would want to extend our thanks to all the aspirants who are eagerly participating in our IAS Gnana quiz conducted every day, which is based on the daily current affairs. In that regard, we would want to continue this video discussion based on whatever the questions we are giving to you or posting to you on our official IAS Gnana Telegram channel. So this Ashwamedha sequence will be a discussion about the daily MCQs what we are going to provide to you. We might only give you the answers, but the basic explanation to that is most important, and you need to understand on what basis we have actually framed these questions. Okay, and it will also include the mains paper discussion, which most of our aspirants would not be exposed to until unless they finish off their prelims examination. But we as an institute understand that your mains answer writing or your personality development should start from day one itself. So your preparation should be based on like both solving the MCQs and also developing the habit of writing daily answers, and to be oriented in a way as UPSC wants you to be, right? So this is a humble beginning for us to make sure that our aspirants or all the UPSC aspirants should tread in the right direction, and we to all like to the certain possible extent try to provide you with the most quality and the updated version of the guidance, right? So our objective is to make sure that we provide you with this quality of questions almost replicating the standards of UPSC or maybe even better than that, because we believe that preparation should be tough or your training should be tough. Otherwise, in the examination hall, as we have witnessed in the state PCS, that students would be taken aback where if they are faced with difficult questions or like tricky questions. So our objective is to make sure that we train you in that tricky questions or make you understand what is the nature of the questions. If you are able to solve these MCQs, you're almost understanding what is the expectation of UPSC, or maybe you're cracking the code how to solve MCQs. Also developing daily answer writing program. Okay, so let us continue. Today is our first episode, and whatever the questions we have posted on our IAS Gnana Telegram channel, the question numbers will be same, and the respective question number discussions will be conducted along with the source material, because most of you think that we have taken questions from some other source. No, our only source is the Hindu newspaper and sometimes the Indian Express. I would want to show with evidence that where have we taken the questions, and also help you in developing the habit of reading newspaper in a correct manner. Okay, before that, right, we have already updated on our YouTube channel that we were conducting a all India prelims test series for paper 1, and it was aimed to provide scholarship to the various students across India. It was supposed to be scheduled on 29th of September, but because we had this compulsory Kannada exams, we had to reschedule that to the 2nd October. So 2nd October, on the eve of Gandhi Jayanti, the exams is going to commence from morning 10 o'clock till noon 12, and the good thing about this exam is that you will get the results by the end of the day itself, right? So please register to this free scholarship test. The top 10 rank holders will get 100% scholarship to our prelims test series known as Prelims Sutra, which will contain about like 60 prelims tests consisting of 45 GS and 15 CSAT, right? And our other prelims test series, we're talking about the Prelims Sutra itself, will commence from 6th of October. I would want to remind you all that the first test will be completely free of cost. We are going to update the syllabus shortly in our website. Please go through the syllabus and you can come prepared. So it is available both offline and online. The timings will be from morning 10 a.m. right? The first test conducted under Prelims Sutra on 6th October will be completely free. Everyone can come and write, but you need to register online. Okay, apart from that, we are launching a new general studies prelims cum mains foundation batch aimed at providing quality coaching to the UPSC aspirants And regarding this, we're going to have another video, but this is this is important for us to like share with you that IAS Jnana is a new venture of Jnana Gangotri. So you need not have to worry about whatever the Jnana Gangotri, like the classes will be like in English only, and the materials will also be provided in English, but the experience will be from like you'll be taught from faculties covering you'll be taught from the faculties who have experience in teaching in different parts of India. You'll be taught from the faculties who have experience in teaching different cities and having experience of over 6 to 10 years. So you don't have to worry. Please attend the demo classes, then you'll be able to understand what is the quality of our coaching. So ultimately we focus on only one thing: results only matters, nothing more, nothing less. Okay, shall we start with the first question? So this was the first question, and it was posted on our IAS Jnana portal, IAS Jnana Telegram channel, right? The first question, like all these questions are based on daily current affairs. So our weekly test, the Prelims Sutra, will also cover the questions from conventional subjects like history, economics, geography, environment, and so on. But this IAS Jnana is only meant for the current affairs, and you may not be able to like assess what sort of questions will be coming. You'll be habituated in reading newspapers, but most of us actually lag in understanding the nature of questions what UPSC gives to you. The source is same, but analysis or the understanding or assessment of that topic is most important. Okay, so this is the first question where this sort of question is followed by UPSC. This is called as like bringing a contextual sort of a questions. In this, a brief context is given to you about what is happening in the newspaper, and regard to that, there may be something which related to concepts. The conceptual questions will be asked to you. Okay, for example, recently West Bengal Assembly unanimously passed the Aparajita Women and Child Bill, also known as the West Bengal Criminal Law Amendment Bill of 2024, to bring harsh punishment to the rape convicts. In this regard, which of the following information is correctly matched vis-a-vis Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita? Two things are there, right? You need to focus upon the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita and the Aparajita Women and Child Bill, right? So you must be knowing that a 31-year-old medical trainee doctor was brutally raped and murdered in the RG Kar hospital in Kolkata, and which was followed by outrage throughout India and as well as in the state of West Bengal also. So therefore, the state government of Bengal have actually come up with one anti-rape bill known as Aparajita Women and Child Bill. So it is called as the anti-rape bill. So you must be knowing that this concept is related to women issues, women's safety, which is there in the paper 2, right? It is also applicable to social justice, and it is also applicable to prevention of sexual harassment at workplaces. The anti-rape bill, also known as the Aparajita Women and Child Bill, right? This is actually proposing two things. One is to provide safety and security to the women, and also to ensure that harsher punishment or stringent punishment will be provided to the perpetrators of crime. Now, in this regard, we need to understand two things. We already have our own newly launched Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita and Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Samhita and Bharatiya, right, which has replaced the Evidence Act, okay, that is BAS. So all these three have replaced IPC, Indian Penal Code. This is CRPC, and this is replaced the Indian Evidence Act. Okay, so something BAS is related to, I think, evidences. Okay, I'm not getting the exact word, but these three have replaced the IPC, CRPC, and the Indian Evidence Act, which is like the erstwhile the colonial acts. So in this Aparajita bill, in contrary to this, is also proposing an alternative punishment system, and this was given alternative punishment system, which is completely different from whatever has been prescribed in the IPC or the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. So in that regard, the question is framed that there are certain proposals, and the ministry or the West Bengal government has, or the assembly has unanimously passed this bill to provide security to the women as well as providing stringent punishment to the perpetrators of crime. Now this stipulates death penalty, right? So we're going to discuss about certain things or like whatever is given in the newspaper, right? This is just to give you a simple context that vis-a-vis the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, or we can call it as the Indian Judicial Code, or which prescribes punishment for certain crimes. So even this bill is also proposing new sort of a crime, a new sort of punishment for certain crimes. So that is acceptable, that you can have a national law and you can also have a state law for a particular crime. It can be penalized under 2 sections as well, right? Moving forward. Okay. Right. Now, this is a question you have. So this is framed on a question which was actually given in 2024 prelims examination, and the question was related to which are the we had 3 columns were provided to you, and it was like in one column what was the name of the waterfalls, other column to which region it belonged to, and in other column it was belonging to like which river. So this sort of column type questions have been asked like in almost like 7 to 8 places in the present year, like 2024 prelims examination, and we have tried to replicate the same model itself. In the first column we have talked about what are the sections mentioned in the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita section, right, which is like different from the IPC, and present punishment prescribed under the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. And in the third column, what is the proposal made by the anti-rape bill of West Bengal, right? In the first one, you must be knowing that IPC 376 prescribes rape, provide punishment to rape, whereas the definition is Article 375 or IPC 375 defines what is a rape, and 376 provides punishment to rape. So there might be a comparative question that what was like 376 in the IPC has been actually made into 64 section 1, that is rape. Okay, so we have to find out whether this given columns match or not. How many of them are matching, how many of them are not matching. First is section 61 of subsection 1 that defines rape. So if anyone is actually convicted, it's not like over and suspect, but convicted means when the judiciary finds that the person is sufficiently guilty enough and it passes a judgment, then that person is called as convicted person. He or she'll be getting 10 years of rigorous imprisonment. You must know this is not a simple imprisonment, it is rigorous imprisonment that may extend out to the life or death. Here there is no mention of how many years. Usually under IPC it is 14 years life sentence, but here there is no mention of that. So until his last breath, it can go up to 10 years or it can extend to life or even death, right? But Aparajita bill says that there is no 10 years, only rigorous imprisonment for life or death. So till the rest of, if a person commits crime at the age of 18 years, then that person would continue to be in the jail till the end of his life, or he may be subjected to death depending on the severity of crime. Okay. Second, so we need to find out whether the statements are correct or not, are they matching or not. So first is correct, because here the definition and the punishment and the proposed thing, everything is been correctly matched, whereas the second and the third one are interchanged. Section 66 clause 2 covers rape by a public servant or a police. So if a person who is in power, who is the guardian of law, if he commits a crime, then such person under the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, you must understand the legal aspects of our nation, right? This belongs to, for example, if you are writing a mains answer, that come up with the provisions which provide safety to the women. So under the legal provisions, you can talk under Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, if a person who is actually holding the power, if he commits any crime, this is the punishment prescribed by the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, and as per the Aparajita bill, it is even severe, right? So here it can go to 10-year rigorous imprisonment, extend to life or death, but as per the Aparajita bill, it is both imprisonment for life, and because it's an extension of 64 only, here the definition is there, or this is for the normal people and this is for a public servant, so it is understandable. But here this is not for the death or the persistent vegetative state, but this is dangerous. Section 66 of Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, if a person commits a crime and that would result in the death of a victim or causes a permanent, puts her into coma, like you must have heard about Aruna Shanbhog case. So Aruna Shanbhog, she was a Kerala nurse working in the Mumbai hospital, and she was raped, or she was sexually molested by a hospital staff, and she went into coma. She was in vegetative state for 41 years. So that is called as a vegetative state. So suppose a person is going to commit a rape and the victim either dies, or if she is actually forced into vegetative state, persistent vegetative state, then what happens? That is a heinous crimes as per the Aparajita bill, and there is no rigorous imprisonment, there is only death penalty. So this is the harshest sort of punishment what the new bill proposes, but in under the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita it is only 20 years of rigorous imprisonment that may extend to life and fine. There is no death penalty, because we as a nation, we do not want to impose any, because this sort of questions have already come in the mains, that death penalty means human rights versus social justice. If a debate comes about social justice, means obviously the perpetrators of crime or the victims of the crime need to be provided with justice, but not at the cost of life. There is something known as societal ethics or the governance ethics. So this topic can also be applicable for your paper 4. Okay, so the option 1 is correct, whereas option 2 and 3 is wrong, right? And what does the question ask? How many of the above rows in the given information are correctly matched? So only one is matched, 2, 3 is not matched. So option A is the correct answer, right? Moving on now. So this is the related article which is there in the Hindu newspapers, and this is what was given in the front page. Whereas the Bengal bill moots capital punishment for rapists, and this is the column. And you must have gone through that. It was given on the this was given on 5th September on the day of Teachers' Day, right? So definition 64, section 1, definition of rape. Section 2, rape by a police officer or a public servant. Section 66 for, so you have interchanged this thing. So I have interchanged the definition of the section. Therefore, the option B, option 2 and 3 were wrong. And if you also can focus here, the section 70 clause 1 talks about gang rape, and section clause 2, 70 section clause 2 talks about repeated offenders, and they will be given like 20 years rigorous imprisonment, extend up to life or fine. And for these people, repeated offenders, there is either life imprisonment or death. Right, there is no 20 years rigorous imprisonment as per the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, but look at the Aparajita bill. It talks about death or rigorous imprisonment. So fear of punishment, maybe it is acting as a somewhat like a preventive measure for those who want to commit the sexual assault. It is aimed at providing security to the woman and also to provide hard or rigorous imprisonment to the perpetrators of crime, right? You might miss on certain articles which are given in the newspapers, especially this sort of advertisement. You should never miss. Any state government are providing with this sort of ads. I know why it will cover one entire page. You might get that in international edition, or if you're subscribers of e-paper, right? You'll get this in Delhi edition or the international edition. That any state, if they are launching any program, and if it is having any implications in the GS papers, like we're talking about women issues, women safety, social justice, and the criminal jurisprudence. If you're talking about that, then this sort of articles you need to focus. It is good for the both prelims and mains point of view. Like we have already discussed about the definition and the punishment given as per the Aparajita bill or the anti-rape bill, and there is also another program of the West Bengal government called as Ratire Sati program. So you must remember this, because Ratire Sati might be asked in prelims, and they would ask which among the following states have actually launched Ratire scheme. That is one type of question, and in the other type of question they would also ask like, what is the objective of this Ratire Sati scheme? Maybe the options might vary. It is to provide, let's say, security measures for women at the workplaces, like we are creating the designated location and safe zones for women, right? And having compulsory female volunteers deployed at night for enhanced security if the women are working at night. And also the special mobile application is developed for all the women, which is having an instant alarm raising capabilities. So this is a part of Rathire's scheme. And we have a dedicated force known as Aparajita Task Force. Now, what is Aparajita Task Force? A specialized police force for expediting investigation. This is for prevention. This is after the crime. What is the punishment? Prevention after the crime. In between investigation, if the crime happens, for that Aparajita Task Force for expediting the investigation process, and it will be there in each and every district. And most importantly, the investigation will be conducted by a female police officer, right? Apart from that, this may also be used in your case studies, like what all measures can be taken to improve the infrastructure facilities. You can talk about this as a prevention method, this as a fastening investigation process, and this is for setting up an infrastructure to at least prevent the crime. For example, installation of CCTVs and lighting facilities at the talking about designated locations, and setting up of fast track courts. Also talking about this 62 POXO designated courts. POXO means prevention of child from sexual offences, right? And also of all this 88, 52 designated courts have been made for the swift trials. See, in this it was like earlier, the investigation should have been completed within 21 days, but under Aparajita 15 days extra is also given, like 36 to 40 days are given for investigation, but it has to be completed in that period of time, and it should be submitted to the court, and the court should dispose of the issue as soon as possible. So we have women police station, and also under a Nirbhaya fund, right? In 2012 the same thing happened, Nirbhaya. Right, so under the Nirbhaya Fund scheme, 107 crores are spent for installation of all such safety measures. It is conducted by the state. Okay, moving on to the next question. Right, so the only objective of this video is to make sure that how to read newspapers, one thing, and second, how to frame questions, what should be your approach. If you read any news, it's not about like you just read a news and just forget that. Try to analyze that, and the best guide for you is like the previous year's question papers. Go through 2024 or all the previous year's question papers of UPSC, and they'll get an understanding. Try to understand the psych, or try to understand the intention behind which it has been asked. And something is in the news, they may not ask directly. That is a direct current affairs question. It is mostly the applied part which is most asked, right? And if you can go through the last 10 years question papers, it will give you a clear understanding as to what you are supposed to do. Or please follow this Ashwamedha sequence to be a part of answer analysis along with us. Okay, next question. Okay, consider the following statements. The centralized pension payment scheme, CPPS, enables pension disbursement throughout any bank or branch across the country. Okay, we have three statements. It is a part of LIC, and third is it has replaced the transfer of PPOs from one office to another. So I'll just want to give a brief context about this. What is CPPS? We have something known as Employment Payment Scheme. Employees Payment Scheme is there. EPS scheme 1995 is there. So what is EPS scheme? EPS scheme is actually aimed at providing social security benefit to the people who are working in the unorganized sector. So this is something like a social security net. Now how does the sort of a pension, okay? So it is a sort of a pension given to the people mostly working in the unorganized sector, right? And who is the regulatory agency for this? EPFO, that is Employees Provident Fund Organization, right? About this, we also asked a different question about a list of all the regulatory authorities in India. For pensions, it is EPFO, that is Employees Pension Fund Organization, is agency which has launched the EPS scheme, right? Now, what does EPS scheme do? EPS scheme provide pension to all the employees who are working in the unorganized sector. What are the conditions? He or she should have worked for at least 10 years and should be of an age of 58 years. So at least you should be 58 years and you should have worked for 10 years. This is your age and this is your service. But you can also withdraw from the age of 50 years. right? Now, what is the contribution? It is covered by both the employees as well as the employer. So, from the employer, it is like 8.3% of the basic and almost DA, that is DNS allowance, will be deducted, and the equal amount of it is also been contributed by the company, which the employee can draw after his retirement or during the course of his after 50 years, he or she can draw, right? What was the condition? What was the problem? That suppose a person gets retired, right, and he or she has to collect pensions from the bank, designated bank, because it is actually sent to the bank accounts. So they have to go to the bank, they have to fill a form known as Form 10C, Form 10D after the retirement, and they have to wait in the queue and get their pensions, right? That was one condition. Suppose if anyone is moving from one city to another city, or they want a change of branch, this pension payment orders had to be like sent. Now, the Ministry of Labour, Union Ministry of Labour have launched this centralized pension payment system, which is a part of sites. That is, this EPFO wants to computerize everything. They want to have a centralized database, and as a result of this sites, which is like centralized database, right, they are trying to provide this seamless services to the pensioners. Now, a person after retirement need not have to go to the branches for a change of branches. It is like it is applicable to any bank anywhere in the country. So it is, and there is no presence of manual transaction is not required. It is like done on a digital basis only. So therefore, this is to help the people who are actually accessing the pension and to have a seamless access across any bank in India and anywhere without having submit, without have to standing in the queue or have to submit this sort of orders, right? So the first statement says that this CPPS, that centralized pension payment scheme system, enables pension disbursement through any bank or any branch across the country. This statement is correct, right? And this is a scheme. This scheme is a part of LIC. LIC definitely is not talking about pension, it talks about insurance. So that is how the common sense you have to work on. LIC is not the regulatory agency, it comes under the IRDAI, that is all the insurance comes under, right, Insurance Regulatory Development Authority of India, whereas the pensions come under the EPFO. So therefore the statement 2 is wrong, okay, right? So third statement, replace the transfer of, so this is what the PPOs are there. So earlier this PPOs were actually issued by the bank, right, to the pensioner, that if you are changing a branch, if you are going to move to other cities, you have to take this PPO from one branch and give it to the other branch where you want to start the account, to which account the pension amount will ultimately be debited. Okay. Now this transfer will be from one office to another office, will be happening now seamlessly when the pensioner moves from one location to another location or changes bank. So now this happens automatically irrespective wherever the person moves. These PPOs are automatically transferred. So therefore this statement is correct. So we have statement 1 correct and statement 3 correct, whereas 2 is incorrect. And what is the name and nature of the question? It talks about which of the statements are incorrect. Please read the questions. Under the IAS Jnana Telegram channel, many times I've seen that the students do not read the question completely. They even miss out on what is the question, like where we are asking about like the correct statements or the incorrect statements. If it is incorrect statements, we know that 2 statements are correct. 2 statements are correct, and which is the incorrect one? Only one. So option only 1 is the answer, right? So you need to be careful as to what are the answers you are doing. Okay, moving on to the next one. So now the related article. Where is it? So this is the related article, and this is how you read newspapers, and this is where we frame questions. We do not refer to any other source. Our only source is authentic newspapers or maybe the government websites. This is where we pick the questions, right? And this is where the statements this sort of statements will be picked from the newspapers, right? What is that? Union Labour Ministry has cleared a proposal. As I said, the CPPS proposal has been cleared by the Labour Ministry. It is going to benefit how many lakh pensioners? 78 lakh pensioners. For social security, this is useful, okay, and it is under the EPS scheme. About EPS scheme, I already explained to you in brief. So this ensures the disbursement of the penalty throughout India without any need for the transfer of pension payment order. So you don't need a PPO for getting your pension, right? So you can move to any place, right? And there is no need for you to produce the PPOs. So if you're moving from one location to another location, therefore it is made your access easy. Next one, it is also part of EPSOs, as I said, sites, that is IT modernization project. IT modernization project of the centralized IT enabled system. Sites, we also have something known as Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, that is related to environment, or that actually prohibits the trade of species internationally and domestically. So do not confuse that sites with these sites. This is just EPFOs, centralized, like IT enabled system, okay? And so based on this only and a bit of research, we will actually pose you questions. So your preparation should be in such a way that only this thing is coming in the newspaper. Try to understand what is EPS scheme, what is EPFO, which are the regulatory authorities, what are the conditions to help you. We have also included this sort of images, and this will be given to you in a monthly compilation of discussions. Henceforth, like whatever the questions we are providing, we are planning to provide a weekly test about that, and this sort of explanations will be given to you in the soft copy. As we said, discussed earlier, what is EPS scheme? As I said, this EPS scheme is provided by the EPFO, right? And it is whoever the person who is going to get pension benefit, at least they get, these are the employees who retire at the age of 58 or served for 10 years. The contribution is 8.33% in the form of employees basic and the dearness allowance, right? So for getting, after the completion of 58 years, the person has to submit form 10D to get the pension, right? After submitting the form 10D, he or she will be getting the pension, and in every month they have to fill form 10C for withdrawing the EPS amount and also to get the EPS scheme certificate. So in case of any death of the person, it will be passed on to the wife, deceased wife, or the children, right? And these members can also withdraw the amount if he has not completed 10 years of service but at the age of 50, okay? Right. Moving on to the next question. So this is a statement-wise question which has been asked in the UPSC. So something is there in the news. We'll focus on that. Like, this was the news. This is the news, right? Where the Public Accounts Committee, which is a parliamentary committee, has taken a Ashwamedha action, and they want to review the regulatory authorities. And based on which, we have also given you a question: which among the following are the regulatory authorities? And just now we have discussed about EPFO, right? And now we should. This is what the information is all about. This is what has actually come in the newspaper. So the questions are going to be about this. What is this PSC? You should understand A to Z about that, or at least have some brief understanding about what is a parliamentary committee. So regarding that, this is the news. So this is just the news, okay? The news is like there were some allegations about the SEBI. SEBI is like a regulatory authority for stock exchange or the money market, right? And like RBI is for the banking sector, and like for pension it is EPFO, and for insurance it is IRDAI, and for cricket it is BCCI. So there were some irregularities by the SEBI, right? SEBI is chairperson Madhubhai Puri. So actually he had a stake in obscure offshore entities. So that was being probed by the Public Accounts Committee, right? So they were about, this is one thing, and second allegation was like some of the airport operations were given to Adani holding company. So this is something which has to be monitored, because for all these things the funds will be allocated by the state government or one of its agencies. And the precise function of Public Accounts Committee is to ensure that whatever the amounts been allocated or appropriated by the parliament to the government, it has to review that, and government as well as its agencies. So in that regard, this question becomes important, okay? And statement wise question, right? First one: Public Accounts Committee is responsible for auditing the review and expenditure of the government. You need to understand what is the Public Accounts Committee. As I said, this is what an aspirant should do, right? If at all you come across any new term, it can be related to economics, it can be related to polity, or it can be related to constitution, or something like legal. Please understand that, which is because these things are very much important from examination point of view. If you talk about the parliamentary committees, so there are two sort of committees are there. One are permanent committees, and second is ad hoc committees. Ad hoc committees are which are made for on a temporary basis. Permanent committees, like we can have something known as like financial committees are there. So and we have this department standing committees, department related standing committees, okay? Under the financial committees, we have this Public Accounts Committee, we have Estimates Committee, and we have Committee on PSUs. So these are every departments, maybe Department of Railways, Department of Water Resources, or Department of Defense. They have their own this is something like that which is made for temporary purposes. So we are focusing on these these committees which are set up by the parliament. Now, of all the three financial committees, so this is a completely interested with respect to financial matters. Scrutiny, the main objective of this public accounts committee is to scrutinize the expenditure and the income or revenue of the government. Okay. Now, if we talk about public accounts committee, what is the composition? We have 22 members, and in that 22 members, so we have 22 members. Okay. The composition of public accounts committee, because we are focusing only on the public accounts committee because that is taking a suo motu action against a regulatory authority. So let us understand what is PSC. Consists of 22 members, 15 from the Lok Sabha and 7 from the Rajya Sabha. By default, it is the chairperson because something related to money matters. And you know that Rajya Sabha do not have any right with respect to money matters. So therefore, the chairperson will be from the Lok Sabha. So therefore, the member of Lok Sabha is going to be the chairperson by convention. Right? If you talk about the history of Public Accounts Committee, it has been existent since 1921 following the Montfort reforms. Have you heard of Montague-Chelmsford reforms? Montague-Chelmsford reforms of 1919. So following this, it was established in 1921. Pre-independence. So since then this public accounts committee is existing. After 1950 it became a parliamentary committee. So after 1950 it became a parliamentary committee, and by default parliamentary committee. By default, who is the chairperson? The chairperson is not from the ruling party because ruling party is a majority party. The chairperson is always from the opposition party. So presently we have Mr. Venugopal, who is from Congress, right? So the chairperson of Public Accounts Committee, because it is a measure to keep an account on the, or it is to make sure that the executive is accountable to the legislature. So we have to keep some sort of checks and balances on the government, and therefore the member of the opposition will be the chairperson. Okay, this is something about a brief information about Public Accounts Committee and its history. Now, what are the functions? As I said, the responsibility of Public Accounts Committee is to first make sure that how much the government, how much the parliament has appropriated in terms of budget to the government, that is the central government. We need to see that how much of expenditure is allocated and whether this expenditure is properly utilized or not. So review of such expenditure of our revenues appropriated by the parliament to the central government is to be reviewed by the Public Accounts Committee, number one. Second, whatever the report submitted by the CAG or the Comptroller or Auditor General of India had to be reviewed by the Public Accounts Committee. If they are finding any sort of misappropriation without even complaint, they can actually carry on a suo motu, means a self-motivated inquiry on any government agencies or executive or its agencies also, like for example the regulatory authorities here in this news, right? They can do that suo motu. And every year they have to submit, this Public Account Committee have to submit the report to the parliament about the expenditure done by the central government, the efficacy, where there is any misappropriations, and also the reports of the CAG. Okay, and what are the term? It is for 1 year. The members keep on changing, right? They are elected among themselves, and the chairperson or the Lok Sabha speaker is going to appoint these members, and from the Rajya Sabha the honorable chairman is going to represent the members, but the chairperson is going to be only from the opposition, that is from the Lok Sabha itself, right? So now you know something about the Public Accounts Committee. Let's read the statement. This is how you need to prepare. You just don't read the newspaper and just forget about that. You need to analyze. That is why the best guide to you is previous year's question papers and go through the syllabus. The syllabus gives you that this topic is applicable to which paper of the mains. Paper 1, 2, even for like we have discussed one earlier paper about this Aparajita bill. How can we use this procedure for a case study? Because you should understand, if a question comes to you that you are a member of a committee which is the state government is interested, that you should come up with certain measures to make sure that such crimes are to be prevented and mitigation measures have to be taken. Now you know we have a task force, we have a prevention method, we have an infrastructure, we have a legal aspect. If you understand this, then you can write meticulously. You don't have to read anything. Please go through the newspaper thoroughly. You'll understand everything. First statement. The Public Accounts Committee is responsible for auditing the, yes, definitely, auditing the revenue and expenditure of the government. Obviously, the statement is correct. Right? Yes or no? Next. Hence, just to confuse you, I said the Public Accounts Committee can conduct a performance review. They can conduct, as I said, they have the right to conduct a suo motu performance review of a government agency and their regulatory bodies. Like here, it is SEBI or maybe RBI or can be anything, right? Under the Act of Parliament. So any statutory organization or any regulatory authority which is formed under the statute of a government, they have the right to conduct the performance review, right? Now, but the question is, we have to see that does the second statement explain the first statement? You have to see there are four options. One is both statements are correct and statement 2 explains statement 1. This is first one. Obviously both statements are correct, but does the statement 2 explain statement 1? Because the Public Account Committee can conduct the performance review of the government's agencies, that does it mean that it is responsible for auditing the revenue and the expenditure of the government? It should have been like different. Like for example, if this were to be in the statement 2 and this were to be in the statement 1, then the option was A. Like both statements are correct, statement 2 explains statement 1, but statement 2 here does not explain statement 1. Though both statements are correct, both are different, right? But this does not explain the statement 1. So the option is going to be, therefore, see, 1 and 2 statements are correct, but statement 2 explains statement 1. This is incorrect. Here the option is option 2. Option 2 is the correct. Both statement 1 and 2 are correct, but the statement 2 does not explain statement 1. Statement 2 is an extension of statement 1, but it does not explain the statement 1. So therefore option B is the correct answer. Guys, hopefully you are understanding or able to find interest in this session. This is the first session, so it might take some time, but what is important is that this is where we refer to the issue. This is what the current affairs news, but this based on which what sort of applied part, like that is related to constitution. This is what a mindset of an aspirant should be. Understand what is the news, what are the important core terms here, like for example Public Accounts Committee, which are the regulatory bodies. Then and there itself only you are supposed to know, try to make notes and understand what is the news, right? This is a simple news, but this is not where the UPSC is going to ask you the questions. They're going to ask you questions from something which is related to the regulatory authorities like SEBI or TRAI, Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, right? Okay. Next question, we have already discussed this. Parliamentary committee is having, like we have financial committees like Public Accounts Committee, Estimates Committee, PSU. This is the sort of notes you make it, then and there itself only, it will be easy. That is a smart way of preparation. Otherwise, you will read everything under the sun, right? So, current affairs or the newspaper gives us an exact idea as to like which are the focal areas from where the questions can be asked, both for the prelims and mains. And we have shared one thing, like we have just almost like 20 days old, and when the main started this year, almost like 10 to 15 topics have actually come from what we have discussed in just a month year old, just like probably like 15 days or 10 days. Imagine that if we continue our journey for 1 year, how many questions in the upcoming prelims and mains will come from our IAS Jnana? That's something sensible or logical to think about, right? This is because of our years of experience, and this is what we've done from the last 15 years. We have analyzed UPSC, we tried to understand their requirement, we have analyzed newspapers, and we made an intelligent guess. The probability of these sort of questions coming in the exams are too high, and from the past 6 years, more than 60% of our prediction actually come in the prelims, including this year's, right? So you can only witness that once we have a continuous engagement with each other. Please attend the questions on IAS and a Telegram and attend this sort of a discussion. It is going to help you in leaps and bounds. Excuse me. Moving on to the next question, it is really simple. The question is not so much relevant, but it is important from the point of understanding the tribal people in India, especially the Kuki zone and Metis, right? See, Northeast insurgency is always one of the problem in India, and it is a part of internal security issue. Okay, and tribal conflict, what you're supposed to do is that you should know what is NRC, what is the problem associated. Northeast region is always in the hotspot with respect to the tribal conflict. We have two communities, that is Métis community and we have Kuki-Zo community. Kuki-Zo community these are people who are actually living in the hill areas and they are from the Christian community, whereas Métis are the Hindu people and they live in the Impal Valley, right? So these two people always have conflicts with each other with respect to ethnic conflicts are always norm in the northeastern region. Suppose if you are posted as an IAS officer or DC, you will be facing a lot of problems there. So therefore understand how many communities are there, what are the reasons for the conflict, which are the insurgent groups, what possible solution can be carried on, or what are their mode of protest, like launching missile-like attack. Okay. Now this question is really simple. Not that much important from the mains point of view, only from the prelims point of view. But there is a change, like, we would only want to test your awareness of when you're reading a newspaper. For example, a missile-like object hit the home of Manipur's present chief minister. Now, this statement is wrong. Definitely, apart from this present, this was the first prime minister, first chief minister of Bishnupur, that is Koreng Singh. So he was the first chief minister of Manipur. Now he is not there. So a missile hit his home, which resulted in the death of a 70-year-old man and injuring others. So therefore, this is a sort of simple statement given to you. And while reading the statement, we miss out on small details like present or the past. Okay. Therefore, this statement is wrong because it was actually hit on the first statement, first chief minister of the Manipur. The present chief minister is Biren Singh. Biren Singh. Okay, so some factual errors might be happening. Okay, and the second statement, if you look at the second statement, this is the information which is given in the newspaper only. This is exactly the language of newspaper. No one is going to copy from anywhere. And if you can look into some of the well-known websites, the language what we pick for current affairs is from the newspaper only or from the PIB, right? They are the Métis majority. See, if you talk about Bishnupur, it is a Métis majority Impal Valley. They might ask for human geography, right? So this statement is correct. While the hills and beyond in Churachandpur is dominated by the Kuki-Zo community. Statement 2 is correct, whereas statement 1 is incorrect. And the question's demand is which of the given above two statement is correct? Only option 2. Only option 2 is the correct answer. Now, what is the related article for this? This is a newspaper. Excuse me. Okay. So this is a related article, right? If at all I am framing a question for anything, and for your information, my name is Prakash Naik. I am the one who is framing questions for your IAS Jnana, and I'll be discussing all these things with you under the Ashwamedha sequence. Okay. So this is where the language is taken. Like Bishnupur is in the Métis majority Impal Valley. Right, and while reading newspaper also, this is how you have to make notes. You don't read entire. While reading the newspaper, you take your pen and paper, make synoptic notes, and this is all simple information. First information, like missile object hit the house of. See, what is the name of the first chief minister of Bishnupur? That is Merembakam Koreng Singh. The present is Biren Singh. So Biren Singh, Koreng Singh, easy to remember, right? And Bishnupur is Hindu majority, Métis community, and the hills and Churachandpur dominated by Kuki and Zo people, right? Okay, that's it. Apart from that, not much is important. Okay, for this you have to do a detailed analysis, and which we might be giving in terms of mains. I'll be discussing a main sort of answer tomorrow. Then you'll be able to understand, like, what is our approach from prelims point of view and mains point of view. But we are starting with something like which is easy, that is prelims discussion, right? Okay. Moving on to the next one. Moving on to the next question. I've given a statement-wise question, and this is really simple. This is again followed by UPSC. We don't give much statements, only among all the four, which one is correct or incorrect. Okay, and that is based on some incidents happening, or like maybe something new guidelines which is given by the regulatory authorities, or maybe police law enforcement authorities, or maybe a Supreme Court or something like that. So which among the following new rules? So obviously we're talking about new rules. So who has actually framed these rules? Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. So Ministry of Road Transport and Highways for road safety. for road safety, they have actually come up with new rules. You need to understand, this is where they're going to confuse you in the prelims. They're going to give you statements, and you might miss out on that, right? And don't ever make any guessing in the examination hall if at all you don't know anything about that topic, or if you have not read about that topic. If you're reading that topic, make sure that what might be the probability of, or what might be the nature of questions being asked in your prelims. Okay, therefore you have to be conscious, you have to be aware as to how the questions are framed. Okay, so the question is not a part of the safety measures. So obviously we have one thing. So there is a new guidelines. Okay, and who has given that guidelines? Ministry of Road and Road Transport and Highways have given that. And regarding what? Regarding the road safety, right? And for example, measures planned by the Transport Highways for, it is actually applicable for entire India, but this was with respect to the Karnataka government, which is all again followed by the state government also. But these rules are common throughout India, and this is as for the new amendment in the Motor Vehicle Act, Article 138 of MV Act. This is compulsory. Like for example, if you're traveling on a two-wheeler, right, it is compulsory to wear helmets. And if you're driving a four-wheeler, it is compulsory for you to wear a seat belt. These are all security measures, right? Okay, the first one, mandatory helmets for children between 1 and 4 years. This is something which we can guess. Mandatory helmets, if you can apply, obviously it is logical, yes, right? And second, safety harness. You can see this is a harness. So pillion rider, if the kid is between this stipulated age period, whereas this statement is wrong, it is between 9 months to 4 years. But the new guideline says that if anyone is having age less than 4 years, and if he or she is traveling a pillion, it is the responsibility of the parents to provide compulsory helmet to that kid, and also to have a safety harness. It is like a belt attached to the kid, and it is attached to the rider. Suppose if in case the rider falls or any accident happens, the kid will not be thrown out or displaced. Okay, so this safety harness is worn by the child attached to the rider's vest, right? So rider will be having a vest, and to that vest this safety harness is attached. This is how the safety harness looks. Okay, next, if you are carrying a pillion rider who is less than 4 years, what should be a speed limit? It is definitely not more than 40 kilometers per hour. This statement is also correct, right? So this is all something like awareness. This is what you showcase in front of the inter board members, and if they are going to ask you about what all there is increasing number of road accidents. Like I was in police department, this sort of questions have been asked to me, what are the measures to be taken to reduce the road accidents, especially the victims are the one who are violating the Motor Vehicle Act. So these are some things which are already there in the news. You only have to thoroughly follow that and just give instances that the new rules has been introduced, and this is what the persons are supposed to do. If they are going to take care of all these things, there is less probability of casualties in the accidents. Okay, what should be the speed limit? The speed limit by the rider should be less than or within the 40 kilometers per hour limit only if the pillion rider is a kid. Okay, the new rules will come into force 1 year after the notification. This is always a calming or cooling off period is given, because today we are going to introduce the rules and tomorrow we don't expect all the citizens to follow. There will be a cooling off period of 1 year or 2 years. So now the notification has been issued. So from the date of issue of notification, this will come into force for 1 year. So till 1 year, it is the responsibility of this Ministry of Road Transport and Highways to create awareness among the public as to these are the rules. Please follow that. Okay. So here, since the first statement is applicable for all the kids between the age of 9 months. So not just 1 year. So just to confuse you, I have given you 1 to 4 years, and many times while reading the statement, you will actually skip and try to put your own logic. If this sort of facts are given, you need to rethink. If you don't know, please don't attempt. Leave the question. At least you will be saved by the negative marking. Okay. The first statement is wrong. So the actual answer is because which of the following rules is not a part of the measures? Other 3 rules are part of the measures, rules, guidelines which is given by the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. Okay. Moving on to the next one. See, can you see this is the related article? This is the related article. This is where I have taken the news. Can you see that? See, 9 to 4 years of age. 9 to 4 years of age of kids riding as a pillion should wear crash helmet and safety harness. 2 things: crash helmet, safety harness, 40 kilometers speed, 1 year from the date of notification. Done. See, 40 kilometers. vest should be worn by the child and as well as the parent, and these are the rules which are mentioned in, like, which are the amendments are made to which act? That is the Motor Vehicle Act, section 129 of Motor Vehicle Act, and also 138, okay, which is not given here. So section, you should have to remember about the MV Act of 2022, that is section 129. Done? Moving on to the next question. Okay, this is a question regarding Greenpeace India, which is an international NGO. Greenpeace India, an NGO, is related to environment, and it conducts survey about the quantum of pollution which is there in different cities across the world. And this time the focus is on the South Indian cities. And there is an alarming rate of presence of suspended particulate matter, like suspended particulate matter 2.5 and 10.0, which talk about the size of the dust particle in the form of microns, 2.5 microns, 10 microns. And these are one of the, like, Delhi is always suffering from the SPM 2.5, and therefore we can see the people are suffering from lung related or bronchitis related diseases. Now there is an increasing trend, and the South Indian states or the cities like Bengaluru, Mysore, Hyderabad, Visakhapatnam are witnessing an alarming rate of spike in this pollutants level, and it is now exceeding the level of, or the minimum safety standard pollution level as prescribed by the World Health Organization. So therefore something is crossing the World Health Organization prescribed level and related to pollution. Pollution, you can use that in environment, right? And in your GS, you can use that in paper 3. So environment, pollution, obviously a hot topic. So therefore this article is important for us to understand what is the present status of cities in South India. Maybe it can be also applicable to the cities in India as well. Okay. So what is the name of the research? It is Spare the Air. Spare the Air 2. Spare the air. Maybe means what? Spare the air from what? From the pollutants. From the pollutants, like we can talk about, like, the question might be about spare the air is about protecting the, or like talking about the amount of air pollution there in the cities in terms of oxides of carbon, nitrogen, sulfur, or maybe suspended particulate matter. It is mostly the concentration is about the, or the focus is about the SPMs, that is suspended particulate matter. And if the question comes about like carbon monoxide or CFCs or like oxides of sulfur, nitrogen, it might be wrong. Okay, you must be specific as to this. Spare the air is talking about SPM mostly. It does not talk about other pollutants like oxides of sulfur and nitrogen, right? That comes from vehicular or industrial discharge. Here we are only talking about the SPMs which are like produced due to like burning of agriculture shop, agriculture residue, or maybe the thermal power plants, or maybe because of the construction activities. That is where the SPMs are going to be introduced or released into the air. So flag some of the health concern on the human due to the effect of the air pollutants in India. So this is just a context I'm creating as it is given in the newspaper, right? So with this regard, what is the observation? Now, this is the observation made by the Greenpeace India report, that is Spare the Air 2. If you are writing anything with respect to the essay, or if you want to talk about the level of pollution in India, this is the sort of a document, or this is the sort of a report you give as a collateral evidence, or maybe an example has to, like, as per the Greenpeace India Spare the Air 2 observation or the report, what is the quantum of pollutants in India? This is what the status is all about. This has been improving like 6 times or 9 times or more than what is the WHO prescribed level. That means you're creating a context. That means you're creating some sort of seriousness with the reader, that you know something about this, and now this requires a serious observation, okay, or serious analysis. Now, increase in the average particulate matter 2.5 in 10. Yes, see, we are talking about only which pollutant? Particulate matter 2.5 microns. So there are two are there, PM 2.5 and PM 10.0, based on the size, and PM 2.5 being the smallest one, it can rise up to almost tropospheric level. Okay, so it is there in the 10 major cities in South India. Yes, which are the 10 major cities? We talk about Mangaluru, Mysore, Bengaluru, Chennai, Trivandrum, other sort of cities, right? This statement is correct. The average PM level is 6 to 7 times higher than the WHO guidelines. This statement is also correct, right? Whatever the WHO guidelines is given, but the present PM levels which are witnessed in these cities are 6 to 7 times more than that. And this is the observation as made by the Greenpeace India, and that is higher in especially the cities like Mangaluru, because here this Mangaluru is an international famous port, okay, and from here ores are transported, mineral ores, and mineral ores means dust particles. So therefore there is an increasing concentration of SPM in the port region like Mangalore and other cities like Hyderabad, Vijayawada, Kochi and Chennai. The PM10 in Bengaluru, or that is a 10 micron, Puducherry and Mysore is 4 to 5.5 times more than the WHO guidelines. They would not ask you about what exactly, how many times the 2.5 is more than these cities as per the WHO guidelines, or how much PM10 is more than the WHO guidelines. You only understand the trend. It is more than the WHO prescribed guidelines. The pollutant levels are consistently increasing, an alarming thing. Okay. Now the PM 10.0 levels, however, is better than the national ambient air quality standards. This statement is wrong. Okay. So we have this national ambient air quality standards, right? So we have first is WHO standards are there. Okay. Then we have this national ambient air quality standards, right? So which is annual limits. Obviously this is not better than that, this is worse than that. So whatever the now ambient air quality means, that is the quality, or this is the amount of pollutants which is prescribed to be considered to be safe, and it is not like alarming, right? That is called as the national ambient air quality standard, which sets the limit as to how much of pollutants is permissible or it's good. But whatever the trend we are seeing is, however, it's not better than that, even it is worse than that. Okay, so therefore the statement 4 is wrong. Therefore this is not the observation. All other three observations are correct. Right? Now the related article. This is the related article. Can you see that? Research by Greenpeace India. Name of the article is Spare the Air 2. Right? 2 pollutants, PM 2.5, PM 10. Right? 10 major cities. These are the cities: Hyderabad, Chennai, Kochi, Amaravati, Visakhapatnam, Bengaluru, Puducherry, Mysore. Right? See, can you see that? PM 2.5 level is 6 to 7 times in Mangalore and all the. We have already discussed 4 to 5 times the WHO standards. And Bengaluru cities, we have seen that 4 to 5 times. See? Okay. Now, the ambient air quality standards is in. This exceeds, see, PM 10.10 exceeds the national ambient air quality standards. But what we have mentioned there, it is less within the national ambient air quality standards. That is why the statement D is incorrect. But it is exceeding even what we have prescribed, that this should be the ideal permissible limit of PM 10.0 in our air. Okay, done. Moving on to the next question. Like this is, I've actually given the article in now. This is related to art and culture, and especially aimed at KPSC students, only for state PCS students. Like for example, something is actually there in the news, and this sort of question was asked in UPSC, and the question was like, they have given the behavior of a particular fly, like, you know, which of the fly actually dances and shows when their food is there. The options were butterfly, dragonfly, bumblebees, and one more. The option was honeybees. So honeybees usually dance, and actually they have a particular pattern to show danger, to identify if there is food or all is there. So therefore this question meant to be like, you know, maybe we can use this because that is the theme of a particular exhibition. So this is nothing but a simple exhibition. So this is a simple exhibition name as, this was actually held in Karnataka Chitakala Parishad, and the name of that is Tejasvi Jivaloka 12. Tejasvi Jivaloka is to like commemorate Purnachandra Tejasvi, who is the son of Shri Kuempu, right? So it is dedicated, this award is, this photography exhibition is dedicated to Mr. Purnachandra Tejasvi, and the name of that is called as Tejasvi Jivaloka. Now, what is the theme of that is for commemorate this, to make sure that the eco-friendly fireflies, which are in dangers. Fireflies, you understand, right? Kannadadalli minchulu anta helತೀವಿ, right? So this eco-friendly or like fireflies are in danger. So the theme of the entire photography or Tejasvi Jivaloka was on fireflies. So therefore the question was made. Okay. Otherwise this question is not that much important. But you need to know that what is actually affecting their one of the major reasons for the destruction of a particular species is anthropogenic activities. Anthropogenic activities might include agriculture, maybe industries, or maybe pollution, maybe deforestation, habitat destruction. That is always applicable in talk about the tiger corridors or like the elephant corridors, or like, you know, species destruction. Here also the major cause for the destruction of fireflies is caused by mankind affecting the habitat destruction. First reason, how the fireflies are reducing. We have witnessed that the house sparrows, we don't see that in the urban areas. That is because of the installation of the mobile towers, right? In the same way, The reason for the fireflies getting extinct is because of the human interference, habitat destruction, reckless development. So can you see this, read this language? This is how the options are given in the newspaper only. And you, because Hindu is authentic and UPSC will take the exact language and actually give it in option. Like for example, one is habitat destruction is one option. Second option is reckless developmental activities, right? So one is habitat destruction. Second is developmental activities. Third is, can you see that, pesticide, overuse of pesticides. So third is pesticide usage, right? Next, bringing in artificial. Fourth is artificial lights. Even the urban lights, artificial lights, also is affecting the lives of fireflies. Simple. Only 4 options. Habitat destruction, right? Developmental activities, pesticide usage, and even the artificial lights. Many of us actually do a judgment and we say, how can artificial lights be a threat to the fireflies? So we end up not going with it, but otherwise this is the correct thing. Okay? Done? So we'll move on to the question now. I've given this article before the question. See, Tejasvi Jivaloka, this is the name of the photography exhibition, and it is held at the Karnataka Chitrakala Parishad. This is purely for the state PCS students, right? But only understand the theme, if you and the theme is of ecological importance, and therefore I've given this. So the exhibition come workshop is themed around which one? Because same butterflies, dragonflies, and the other sort of a bird which is given the UPSC 2023 probably, I've used the same sort of options, but here the option is firefly. Fireflies are the theme. Done? Moving on to the next question. Okay. Now there was a case in the Himachal Pradesh judicial appointments where the CJ or the Chief Justice of that Himachal Pradesh have appointed some few officials to the High Court judge capacity, and you must be knowing about something known as collegium system. Collegium is like, it is the group of all the senior judges of High Court or Supreme Court, and here for any judicial appointment it is the Chief Justice may be the head of all the collegium, but it is a collective decision, and the Supreme Court have intervened and said that whatever the judicial appointments, either at the central level or the state level, it is not individual decision. It is not the discretion of the Chief Justice of India. It is not the discretion of the Chief Justice of a state. It is a collective decision for appointments into any judicial provisions. Okay, the first one. Then in this regard, now you understand the what would be the whether the statement is correct or not. The judicial appointments to a constitutional courts are the prerogative of the Chief Justice of India. Understand the extreme sentences here. These are the prerogative. Is this the prerogative? No, it is not the prerogative of the Chief Justice of India. When you talk about the decision of the President of India, it is collective as per the Article 74-75. The Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister is going to assist the President, and they're going to, it is their collective decision, and ultimately President is only a de jure head representing the government, right? But it is the decision of the Council of Ministers. In the same way, for judicial appointments, it is always the collegium, right? The collegium is the existing system as of now, and they did not accept the NJSC. NJSC was something which was proposed as an alternative to collegium because this is promoting corruption and favoritism. So, but this NJSC was strapped down by the Supreme Court. Okay, this collegium system is now the authority which is going to decide on the facts of judicial appointment, who to be selected or not. Okay, bypassing, there should not be any bypassing, there should be seniority. This statement is, do you think that therefore is it correct? No, it is incorrect. The Chief Justice of High Court recommends the CJ regarding that about such judicial appointment. The Chief Justice of High Court definitely recommends the CJ. Yes, of course it is correct, but it is not his or her discretion. You should have, if the sentence would have been the Chief Justice of High Court or the Collegium of High Court headed by the CJ recommends the CJ. Alright, they will also consider that, then it is going to be the correct. So both statements are incorrect. Both statements are incorrect. But look at the option. What is the question asking? Which are the incorrect sentences? So therefore both sentences are incorrect. Therefore the option is C. Both statement 1 and 2 are incorrect. So therefore, after reading the question, please make sure before reading the question, please understand whether the statements are, whether the focus of the question is about to find the correct answer or the incorrect answer. Right? So both statements are wrong, so their option is C. This is the related article, right? So judicial appointment is not the charter of a single judge, must be a collaborative effort. That is the Supreme Court, just observation of judgment, okay? The apex court said that the collegium system of judicial appointments, following which is this is the only thing, right? And you're not supposed to be like, this is not the prerogative of a single individual. Observation made by the Supreme Court regarding the High Court judge, and there was a petition filed by the two senior judicial officers of the Himachal Pradesh, where the CJ elevated judges, the Chief Justice of Himachal Pradesh, elevated judges to the High Court without even consulting the collegium. So therefore, this is struck down. That is not acceptable. So this was no in this appointment, there was no collective consultation and deliberation. Therefore, it can only be accepted if the members of High Court Collegium would have made the decision, but now they have not made the decision. So therefore, such a decision stands vitiated both procedurally and substantially. This is how you're going to conclude your answers using the same language. Moving on to the next question. Okay. National Tiger Conservation Authority, very important from an environment point of view. So National Tiger Conservation Authority, you know that the NTCA, which is the nodal agency for the protection of tiger, and it is set up under the Act of Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. And this was set up in 2006 because earlier in 1972, after the Stockholm Conference, we have passed the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. First time we conducted the Tiger Survey in 1973. Then we have come up with the Project Tiger. And from 1973 onwards till 2006, what was 1,800 in 1972, I've reduced to 1,411 in 2006. So therefore, government thought like just Project Tiger is not working. Let us actually give some statutory status. We'll set up one Wildlife Crime Control Bureau and the Tiger Conservation Authority, nodal agency for prescribing punishment and all those stuff. So therefore, in 2006 it was set up, NDSA was set up, and from there onwards the tiger reserves actually come into force. From 2006 onwards, the first tiger census was conducted in 2008, and the tiger census was conducted once in every 4 years. The last tiger census was in 2022. The next tiger census will be in 2026. So based on the recent tiger census, it is not 54. When I was actually giving, made some error. It is actually 55, but in the question it is given as correct. No problem. So I just want to make sure. But in the newspaper it is given as 53. We need to make sure that which is the latest one is like Dholpur something, Rajasthan one. So Rajasthan's is the 55th. Dholpur Karoli. Dholpur Karoli. So Dholpur Karoli is the 55th tiger reserve, the latest tiger reserve of India, which is there in Rajasthan, and the 54th was Virangana. Right, I think some name is there, Virangana. So this is there in Madhya Pradesh. Okay, I can't recall. I think some queen name. It is name of the queen, right? This is the 54th. So in India, as of now, there are 55 tiger reserves, which is by July 2024, we can find that there are 55 tiger reserves, but I had made a mistake, but this statement is actually given correct in the option. So there are 54 tiger reserves across 19 states, with Madhya Pradesh having the highest number. So two statements are there. One is with respect to both the facts. One is how many number of tiger reserves are there. You need to understand 55 is there, and the latest one being the Rajasthan, that is okay, Dholpur Karoli, okay, that is there in Rajasthan, and Madhya Pradesh is having the largest number of tiger reserves. It is having 6 tiger reserves. In terms of numbers also, Madhya Pradesh is having the largest number of tigers with 785. That is, Madhya Pradesh is the first one. Second is followed by Karnataka. So this is increased from it was like 526, from 526 to 785. Karnataka 563. From 524, we were only 2 less than the Madhya Pradesh last time, but we have been. Third is like Uttarakhand. Uttarakhand is distinct, only 3 behind India, 3 behind Karnataka. So first is Madhya Pradesh, which is like 785, okay, and second is Karnataka 563, and third is Uttarakhand 560. So these are the largest states with the largest number of tigers, and in terms of tiger reserves, the largest tiger reserves numbering 6 are there in Madhya Pradesh. This is correct. The statement is correct. Okay. If we talk about the area, the largest tiger reserve, which is almost like 3,296 square kilometers, is there in Andhra Pradesh. That is Nagarjunakonda Srisailam. So largest tiger reserve in terms of area, I'm talking about area. I'm not talking about largest tiger reserve. These are the auxiliary information you actually look into while reading any article, right? So that is there in Srisailam, Nagarjuna Tiger Reserve. So this is 3,000, almost 296 square kilometers. And second is Simlipal in Odisha. And third is in Andhra Pradesh. Third and fourth is in Telangana. Okay? Third and fourth is in Telangana. The smallest is Bor Tiger Reserve in Maharashtra. It's only 138 square kilometers. In terms of area, largest being Srisailam Nagarjuna Tiger Reserve and the smallest being Bor Tiger Reserve. And in terms of numbers, largest number of tigers in a particular tiger reserve, it is Jim Corbett. So Jim Corbett is having around 260. So largest tiger reserve with largest tiger numbers is Jim Corbett in Uttarakhand. So Jim Corbett in Uttarakhand is having around 260, followed by Bandipur and Nagarhole in Karnataka. So Bandipur and Nagarhole, these are the other two. So with collective, this is around 150, this is around 141. Okay, simple information, but useful. Done? Okay. Now let us read the statements. Okay. National Tiger Conservation Authority has recently drawn ire. Ire means obviously there is some sort of opposition from several organizations asking the actives, asking 19 states to remove villages. There is something known as core zone, buffer zone. Right? So core zone and buffer zone. So when it comes to protected areas, there are something known as core zone, buffer zone and contiguous zone. Okay? In the core zone, which is like the rich habitat of flora or fauna, and it is actually given the highest conservation status, which is having the status of national park or the tiger reserve, right? So this is highly protected and there is no human habitats are completely allowed. Even the tribals are also not allowed in that region, right? But there are so many villages which are actually still staying in the core region, and here the translocation is like it is voluntary, it is not compulsory, but this National Tiger Conservation Authority is actually finding that many states have not removed the people, villages or the tribal people from the core zone, as a result of which man-animal conflict is increasing. It is imperative for that, and that because of which they are facing some opposition from the other villages or those tribal villages in the many states. That is what the news is all about, right? But for you need to understand what is the core zone, buffer zone and the contiguous zone. So here the residents of core tiger zones in this regard consider the following about tiger reserves. So the question, this is the news. This is not such an important news. The news is only this much, that the tiger reserves are there, core zone people are there, and I think Soligas are the first. They are the only first tribals who are allowed to stay in the core zones. Right? They are found in Chamarajanagar district of Karnataka. They are the first tribals who are permitted to stay in the core zone. That is the first exception. Otherwise, usually even the tribals are not even allowed in the core zone and do collect the forest produce. Okay. So these are the facts. Like how many 54? This statement is usually considered, because when I was framing this question and it was like that only 54 tiger reserves in 90 states. Madhya Pradesh is having the highest. This statement is correct. Second statement, Sundarban Tiger Reserve is the largest in area. No, we have just discussed it is the Srisailam Nagarjunakonda. That is the biggest tiger reserve in terms of area, and the smallest being the Bor, and largest in terms of number is that is the Jim Corbett. And there are so many tiger reserves, even they don't have in one single tiger population, for example Palamu, right? So therefore we don't consider that much. Third statement, the Environment Protection Act of 1972 revised in 2006 gives jurisdiction to NTACA. I have discussed it is not the Environment Protection Act, it is the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. The Environment Protection Act came in 1986. So this statement is wrong. Statement 3 is wrong, right? Now we will define what is a core zone. A core zone is a portion in the tiger reserve where tribals cannot live. Yes, this statement is correct, this word is correct, and the activities even like collecting forest produce is banned. 1 and 4 is completely correct. This is what the definition of a core zone, which is given even in the newspapers. If you can, I'll show you the newspaper article and you can just observe, just read newspaper, and 70% of your GS mains for the next year will be totally covered. With my experience, I'm saying to you, you only should have that eye to observe, and should be meticulous enough to note down that and make notes of it. Okay, so therefore 1 and 4 is correct. Option D is the correct answer, right? Moving on to the next one. Okay, this is the article. The article is NTCA letter, which is written to the states that many people are staying in the core zone and we have not evacuated them, but people are protesting. Just to give you factual information, how many villages are still there in the core zone? Throughout India, 591 villages and 64,801 families are still staying in the core zones. If at all any question is asked, what are the challenges in ensuring the wildlife protection in the core zone? It is mostly because the presence of humans in the form of tribals still living in that region. Okay, right? In Karnataka we have 81 villages in the core zone. Now, what is the core zone? See, the definition is here. The core zone means what? It's a portion, the tiger reserve where the tribals, the same thing what I've given in the fourth option, the same language I've actually replicated it, which is correct. And the buffer zone is also, it's a concentric layer after the core zone in which the human activities is allowed to a certain extent, right? Okay, but here the relocation is not forceful. You need to understand that the relocation, because they also have some forest rights, and the relocation is only voluntary and it is going to take time. It is by coercing, it's not by coercing the people, it is by convincing the people about the importance of protection of a prey and the predator and the flagship animal, right? So therefore, when you're saying that the states have not complied with the NTCA regulation, the states are also saying that the tribals are enjoying the Forest Rights Act because they come under the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, and there is also provision known as the Land Acquisition Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act, which is voluntarily. So therefore, the NTCA have to have some patience and they need to be relocated in a win-win situation and without harming, causing any danger to anyone. Okay, moving on to the next question. Consider the following statements about the Quad. See, quadrilateral security dialogue, it is again international cooperation. It is only focused on two things, strategic and economic. And it is a collaboration of 4 countries, that is USA, right? And we have India, Japan and Australia, focused on 2 oceans, Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean. So Indian Ocean and Pacific, it is considered that it is something like, it is a alliance which is formed to counter China, to make sure that the increasing presence of China in the Indo and Pacific Ocean has been reduced by these countering nations like Japan, Australia, India and US. Okay, but the objective is to ensure the security, like maritime security, or like to have freedom of transport for economic cooperation. That is what the purpose of the Quad was made. But it is a loose organization, it does not have any secretariat. If you talk about like NATO is there, or like United Nations, they have a secretariat and it's a strong organization where every year the meetings will be conducted, but this is something like voluntarily, it is just a regional cooperation, and the meeting was supposed to happen in Delhi. India was supposed to host it, but it has been probably not going to happen in Delhi and it's going to be shifted to New York. That is the news. But I have given something about the Quad. This is how you make notes. Okay. Okay, first statement. It is a strategic forum comprising India, US, Japan and Australia. Yes, it is a strategic forum. It is strategic as well as economic forum for discussion between the prime ministers, head of the state, discussion between the defense ministers, discussion between the secretaries of the state. Yes, it is only for strategic purpose and for economic purpose. Therefore, this statement is correct. Second, it is a loose grouping rather than a formal alliance. It is not a formal alliance, I told you. A formal alliance will have a secretariat and it is going to be conducted. The meetings are conducted every year compulsorily. So therefore, this statement is also correct. Quad aims at promoting economic cooperation along with the regional security. This is important. Regional security is important for the countries which are there in the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean, right? Security from the, even like pirates from Somalia, right? And issues related to maritime security. See, these are the objective of this meeting. maritime security, infrastructure development, and supply chain resilience forms the part of the Quad. Yes, all 4 statements are correct. If I look at the options, the question demand is how many of the options are correct? All 4 are correct. 1, 2, 3, 4. And whatever the options have given, it is taken from the newspaper only. I'll show you the proof. Can you see that? This is where whatever the points I've highlighted, right? So this is what the news is all about. And if you look at the broader, see, it has been the news is only about how it is like supposed to happen in Delhi, but it is actually postponed. It might go to New York or maybe Rehoboth Beach or in Delaware. And the cooperation is in between. Cooperation of all these 4 countries is with respect to maritime and critical and emerging technologies, cyber technology, humanitarian assistance, disaster relief, health security. This is how the options are given in UPSC prelims. They're going to give you simple words: humanitarian assistance, cyber security. We may not even actually think about providing, okay, then maybe under the Quad, cyber security is also one of the cooperated areas. No, it's not. We might end up making that sort of a false judgment. So please, therefore, understand everything. And it is consisting of both strategic, because we talk about strategic, the security is even cyber related, okay? Now, this is another article, very simple, and this is related to state, because when you talk about prison reforms, you talk about internal security, something as the recent actor case you have known about, and there was also usage of mobile phones in the jail premises. So, we have a jammer, and for internal security, if a question has come like, something like police reforms, like do we have a technology which is able to stop people from making calls inside from the jail to the outside world? Yes, we do have that, and that is like we have this option C is the correct answer. The question is, these are the towers installed to used as a network jammers, and this is also people who are like 20,000 people who are staying near the Parapnagara jail also facing problem, because due to the jammers they are also not getting any network. But this is called as, that is tower harmonious call blocking. This is a very simple question, because I just want to introduce a simple question as well also. Call blocking system, simple. Just to confuse you, I have actually given with some other with J, because that is where you think that jail will be there, okay, something like that. But in this there was no clear jail, so you could have actually made an intelligent guess. Only few percent people have actually you please go through the answers and see what is the quantum or what percentage of people actually giving the right answer. That means you need to rethink your strategy, and please follow our discussions. Then you'll understand that whether the answers or the method you're using in answering these questions is right or wrong. Okay, probably this discussion is helping you out. Please comment. Okay, if you want these discussions to be happening regularly, we are planning to have this regularly. That only depends on how actively you're going to participate. So this is the article which is related, and this is the name of that abbreviation. Okay, next question. Again, this article is related to the, again we're going to go back to the RG Kaur hospital, where the one medical trainee doctor was actually murdered. So with respect to the safety protocols, and with respect to that, we have discussed about the Rathi scheme of West Bengal. And what about the current mechanism? Don't we have any current mechanism to make sure that the safety of women staff who are working in the hospitals or any workplaces are to be ensured? There is definitely there, especially in terms of medical field. Like we have this Indian Medical Association. So we have, I've given 2 statements, and in the 2 statements there is one agency which is actually set up by the Union Health Ministry, and the objective of that is to ensure the security and safety of the healthcare professionals who are working in the hospitals or the government colleges. So it is a task. Which one? Like probably is it Indian Medical Association? Obviously, Indian Medical Association is not a security agency. It is a regulatory agency which is actually giving guidelines to the medical colleges. So therefore, you can say that this statement is wrong. You have to apply your logic that it is not mandated to formulate protocols. They don't actually form the protocols. They assign it to the National Task Force. So National Task Force is under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. There is one National Task Force, and this National Task Force prescribes the protocols and guidelines what a college or the hospital has to follow with respect to protection and providing safety and security to the healthcare professions working in the hospitals. So this statement is correct. So both statements are having the same sort of function, but you might end up making mistake with respect to IMA or National Task Force. Some would even say that both are not correct, but the correct one is option B, that is National Task Force set up by the Health Ministry. They are the one who are mandated to formulate protocols for the safety and security of healthcare professionals. Okay. So regarding that, where did we take the question? From the same article, from the newspaper article. Can you see the first statement? The IMA writes to the National Task Force that you are mandated, that is your responsibility to formulate a protocol for ensuring the safety and security of the healthcare professionals, and rest of the thing is of not much relevance. This is how you just make notes for the prelims. Moving on to the next question, right? I've given you match the following about tropical cyclones, and tropical cyclones are intense low pressure regions which are situated, which are created by on the tropical waters, and we'll have a different discussion when it comes to geography as to what are the conditions, because I think we are running out of time. So conditions for the formation of tropical cyclones is something which you need to know, and tropical cyclones with respect to India, how many tropical cyclones are formed in Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea, and why the quantum of tropical cyclones are more in Bay of Bengal, and what is the name of cyclones which are called in different parts of the world. What is it called in the East China Sea or the South China Sea? What is it called in the Gulf of Mexico or Florida Bay? Because these are all the tropical waters, but somewhere it is actually called as hurricanes, somewhere it is called as typhoons, and indeed it is called as cyclones. Okay, there are certain cyclone names I've actually given, cyclone names as well as hurricane names, right? Hurricane Ida, this is called as Ida hurricane, and we have actually gave the place of its origin. So place of origin obviously on the ocean only, because it should have sufficient water to get that intense evaporation should happen, right? And the swirling effect, and because of that the cyclones are formed. So the match that we need to find out how many pairs are correctly matched. Cyclone Ida, Hurricane Ida is actually there in the Gulf of Mexico and Florida Bay, this is correct. Asna is there in Bay of Bengal. So Asna actually, there is one more, Asina. This is there in Bay of Bengal, but Asna is there in Arabian Sea. So this option is wrong. Alvaro, right? It's there in Madagascar, fine. Ampan, so Ampan is there in Bay of Bengal. So I've interchanged Asna, which was supposed to be there in Gujarat coast, Arabian Sea, and Ampan, which is supposed to be in Bay of Bengal. I've interchanged option 2 and 4, so therefore only 2 pairs are correct, and I have given you the information like in the next page. See, this is called as Gulf of Mexico. Can you see that? Gulf of Mexico origin, right? Florida Bay, and this is how it moves because of the Coriolis force, and the winds are deflected towards its natural right in the northern hemisphere, right? And this is in the Madagascar Sea, this Alvaro. So Alvaro in the Madagascar and Indian Ocean. Okay, can you see this Ampan? Ampan was supposed to be in Bay of Bengal, but in the option it is given as Arabian Sea. And this is your Asna. Asna is there in the off the coast of Gujarat in Arabian Sea. So option 3 and only 2 options are correct. Moving on to the next question, right? So with respect to IMD forecast, simple, because you have seen a huge number of floods and heavy rainfall, and September is considered to be like one of the rainiest month in this entire year, and August being the second one. Okay, so this was the observation made by the IMD, that is Indian Meteorological Department. So this sort of factual questions will be rarely asked, but you need to understand the trend, whether there has been an increase in the total number of rainfall. Yes, the monsoon rainfall will be 9% above the usual for the month of September. Usually the forecast is also given in terms of months as well, in terms of seasons as well. So compared to last year, what was there because of the La Nina effect, you need to understand. So La Nina and El Nina is there, and India has actually seen El Nino in the last 2 years. Okay, so El Nino means there is no rainfall, and we'll also discuss about the mechanism as to why this La Nina and El Nino happen, what happens in the Pacific Ocean, what happens in Indian Ocean, and what is the relationship between the El Nino Southern Oscillation and Indian Ocean Dipole, and what is how the atmospheric circulation is going to happen, what is ocean circulation. That will be carried on in the geography classes, but for now, because we don't have time, La Nina means brings good rainfall to India. La Nina means female child. Female child means always brings prosperity. El Nino means male child. So whenever El Nino happens, there is going to be drought in India, right? and in the regions where supposed to be rainfall should happen, that will not happen, and the regions which are not supposed to get rainfall, like the Atacama Desert, Patagonian Desert, which are like almost desert, or the Arabian Peninsula desert regions or dry regions, they usually get heavy rainfall during the El Nino season. But now in the Pacific, Central Pacific, we are actually facing the La Nina condition. That means usually more rainfall than the usual. So first statement is correct. The second statement, impact of the La Nina is likely to lead to vigorous cyclonic activities. The cyclonic activities, see, apart from the monsoons, we have the southwest monsoons and northwest monsoons. The other source of rainfall is the cyclonic rainfall, which we get twice in a year, and from the two sides, from the Arabian side also and the Bay of Bengal side also. If you can remember the previous year's questions, they asked why there is like increasing amount of cyclones in the Arabian Sea. So this we have just discussed about Asna. Okay, so La Nina means this cyclonic activity in the Bay of Bengal resulting into several episodes of rain in the September, right? So this statement is correct. In the September is a time when there is the monsoons are retreating. So at that point of time, if you say that there is usually 9% more, that is obviously to mean that because of the cyclones. Cyclones usually come in the month of September and October. Okay, so statement, both statements are correct. Both statements are correct. Well, and third statement is monsoons are unequally distributed. Hence, many parts of Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh and Delhi are likely to see heavy rainfall. See, most of us, we actually go with the judgment looking at these states like Uttarakhand. See, Uttarakhand is there, Delhi is there, Rajasthan. These are usually semi-arid regions. They don't get rainfall from the monsoons. But here, because of the La Nina and because of the cyclonic activities, actually, we're talking about like Asna. This brought rainfall to Delhi, and therefore there was like huge. And we have also seen that many students died in Delhi, stuck in the reading room because of this heavy rainfall. So this is also correct. This statement is also correct. And the option is 1, 2, 3 is the answer. 1, 2, 3 is the answer. And the related article. This is the related article. Can you see that? See, La Nina, the cooling of Central Pacific, right? That brings rainfall. So impact of La Nina means vigorous cyclonic activity in the Bay of Bengal, right? So therefore 9% increase in whatever the usual. So therefore there is more rainfall in Rajasthan, Uttarakhand, Delhi. Okay. So 2nd August being the second rainiest monsoon month. You must be knowing that which is the rainiest month in after June, September, August. Okay, so July, September, 6% more than normal rainfall, and ended up getting 15% more than normal rainfall. It was we estimated 6%, but ended up getting more than 15%. And the reason for rainfall in Rajasthan and Delhi is because of Asna from the coast of Gujarat. Right? Interrelated? Yes. Moving on to the next one. And the last question today's. Okay, recently many groups in Arunachal Pradesh are protesting against again an environment related question. So environment related question, but related to tribals as well. So this is man versus nature. Okay, or maybe I should say like this is for social justice or tribal displacement, or growth versus, or development, I should say development versus conservation. That sort of a question. Okay, so there is a hydroelectric power project which is supposed to be happening in Arunachal Pradesh, and people are protesting because if this dam has been constructed, then 300 villages of below a particular community, that is Adi Adi tribal community, will be submerged. And any sort of project should not be at the behest of other tribal communities who are been traditionally living in a particular region. Okay, so we have 3 statements. We have to verify whether these 3 statements are correct or not. First is the hydropower project. Yes, the project is hydropower project. This is correct, and which is happening on the one of the tributaries of Brahmaputra, right, on Kameng River, which is the tributary of Brahmaputra. This statement is wrong because it is not on Kameng, it is on Siang River. Now Siang River along with Lohit and Dibang meet together and become Brahmaputra. So Siang, Dibang and Lohit, after these 3 meet at Toko, okay, then it is called as Brahmaputra in India. So very crucial river. Okay, right? So this statement is wrong because it is not on the Kameng River. Kameng River joins Brahmaputra later on. It joins Brahmaputra north of Manas Tiger Reserve or the Wildlife Sanctuary. Okay, it is opposed on fears that the project would submerge over 300. This statement is correct. It is because which tribal area community? That is tribal Adi tribal community. And third, the National Hydroelectric Power Corporation NHPC is the implementing. So for any hydropower project, it is always National Hydropower Corporation. For every thermal power, it is NTPC. For thermal power project, it is NTPC. For hydroelectric, it is NHPC. And for nuclear, NNPC, National Nuclear Power Corporation. Okay, done. So statement 1 is wrong, and how much of the correct? Only 2 statements are correct. And this is the related article. Can you see that? See, they are forcefully, because they wanted to conduct a survey and to make sure that which place has to be like, and this is called as a feasibility, pre-feasibility report, PFR. People opposed for the conducting of this PFR because it has been doubted that it's going to be submerging 300 Adi community tribal people, right? On which river? You should know, that is Siang river. You can see this. See, this is Siang, Dibang and Lohit. See, Lohit, Dibang and Siang joins together, right, at Toko, forming Brahmaputra river. So this is related to geography also. So my dear friends, I hope that this was a lengthy session, but we will try to make only 10 questions a day. If you want us to carry on this sort of discussion for both, we only conducted a prelims discussion, we'll be having a mains discussion also. But I hope you understood what is the orientation, what is the mindset of a UPSC, how you should be preparing, how you should make notes, and what is the importance of newspaper, right? So if at all you need this sort of more sessions, please comment us on YouTube and keep us following on IAS Jnana Telegram. Thank you so much. Have a great day.